U.S. President Donald Trump is demanding that Hamas release all hostages by Saturday noon. If not, the president suggests that Israel renew the war in Gaza, and in his words, all hell will break loose. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
After hearing of Hamas's decision to delay the next hostage release, U.S. President Donald Trump said that all hostages must be released by noon Saturday, or Israel should cancel the deal and let all hell break loose.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time.
Trump said it's an Israeli decision, but if it were up to him, Hamas must keep the deadline or else.
I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Earlier, Trump expanded on his plan for the U.S. to own Gaza. Speaking to Fox, Trump insisted that he would build beautiful and safe communities for Gazan residents outside the Gaza Strip.
We'll build beautiful communities for the 1.9 million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2, but we'll build safe communities a little bit away from where they are, where all of this danger is. In the meantime, I would own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future.
The president insisted that Egypt and Jordan would agree to absorb Gazans because they receive a great deal of aid from the U.S.
It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians
no
have
big
the right
money
to return?
spent. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them, because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could ever. It's not habitable. It will be years before it could happen.
President Trump's dramatic threat came after Hamas unilaterally announced the postponement of the exchange of Israeli hostages until further notice. We have more from ILTV's Devil Klein.
5 groups of hostages have been released over the past weeks, with another group of Israeli captives due to be freed on Saturday. The Hamas threat to stall the next release puts the 6-week first phase of the hostage for ceasefire deal in jeopardy. A halt to the first phase of the agreement would also stall negotiations toward a second phase and the potential release of all hostages and the end of the war in Gaza. Hamas blames so-called Israeli violations, even though Israel carried out all of its obligations, including the withdrawal from the Netzarim corridor earlier this week and the entry of hundreds of trucks of aid daily. Defense Minister Katz called the Hamas announcement a complete violation of the ceasefire agreement and hostage release deal. Katz said he directed the IDF to prepare the highest alert for every possible scenario in Gaza, implying the potential return to war. The initial phase of the deal is scheduled to last until March 2nd. It calls for the release of 25 living hostages and the bodies of 8 who died in captivity. 9 live hostages and 8 bodies are still due to be returned in this phase. The Hostage Families Forum reached out to mediating countries to help save the ceasefire deal. The statement read, quote, "We stand with the Israeli government and encourage maintaining conditions that ensure the successful continuation of the agreement." Meanwhile, the family of twins Gali and Ziv Berman say they have received signs of life from the brothers. The statement said that the family knows whose hands they're in and how much danger their lives are in. No further details were immediately available. And in further tragic news, Kibbutz Kisufim announced that hostage Shlomo Mansour, 86, the oldest captive, was killed while in Hamas captivity. The statement does not include when or how Mansour was killed or how his death has been confirmed.
Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu reported to the Knesset on his meetings with President Trump and said the U.S. and Israel are now finally seeing eye to eye. Netanyahu also praised Trump's plan for Gaza as revolutionary.
לאחר תקופה מאתגרת, וצריך לומר זאת ביושר, תקופה מאוד מאתגרת, אנחנו רואים עין בעין עם ממשל ארצות הברית את הנושאים המהותיים שעומדים על סדר היום במזרח התיכון. מימוש כל מטרות המלחמה שלנו, לרבות חיסול החמאס, השבת כל חטופינו הביתה, הבטחה שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל. הנשיא טראמפ הציג חזון חדש ומהפכני על היום שאחרי חמאס, כדי שבעזה לא תקום שוב מדינת טרור.
Following the rollout of Trump's Maximum Pressure 2.0 sanction campaign against the Islamic regime in Iran, the regime hardliners have doubled down on anti-America rhetoric, reversing a previously dovish willingness to engage in negotiations. Let's take a look at what the latest is from Tehran. Crippling sanctions that could bring down the economy and bring oil exports from Iran down to zero. That is what President Trump's team is seeking to do when it comes to dealing with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The move has been met with hostility from regime officials, a regime which has already repeatedly attempted to assassinate the president prior to the election. As the Islamic Republic marked 46 years since the Islamic Revolution yesterday, the Iranian currency plummeted to record lows. The day's festivities were marked by the regime repeatedly inciting against both Israel and President Trump, even making theatrical mock arrests of Trump in the streets and regime officials threatening him once again. This comes as Trump stated explicitly that he prefers a verified nuclear deal over a war in order to stop the regime's rogue pursuit of a nuclear weapon, a move the regime called insincere. In recent days, Ayatollah Khamenei has shut down the notion of any negotiation with the U.S. repeatedly via social media, threatening to attack the U.S. and even hosting Hamas leadership just days ago as a symbol of solidarity against the United States and Israel. Earlier this week, an IRGC Telegram channel released a video threatening to assassinate Trump, and a member of parliament, Mojtaba Zarai, explicitly threatened to assassinate the U.S. president. As the regime marked 46 years of the Islamic dictatorship, however, the Iranian people responded to the day by chanting death to the dictator from their balconies across the country. And in southwestern Iran, large protests erupted against the regime. Well, joining us now to discuss the latest on the rapidly evolving security threats is Brigadier General Yossi Cooper-Wasser, the former head of the research division at the IDF Intelligence Corps. Thank you for joining us, Brigadier General Cooper-Wasser. To start, what do you think of this Trump demand to release all hostages on Saturday? Is this something that Hamas would take seriously, and what are the repercussions?
Well, good afternoon. First of all, I don't think that they're going to take it seriously now, because we are in the midst of the debate about implementation of the deal, the hostage deal that is in effect. And so this is the matter right now at stake. But we should have adopted this policy long ago. We didn't. We did not. We decided to go on a different path, and we are on that path that we chose. And it's a painful path, and we see that Hamas takes advantage of our intention and determination to get the hostages back in order to demand more and more from us. And it's going to continue like that, I'm afraid.
Now, how is Israel proceeding to move forward in these negotiations for Phase 2, or is that already a moot point? I mean, are we even at Phase 2 with the recent statements of Hamas?
No, the cabinet is meeting as we speak in order to decide what they are going to do about it. But it's too early to start speaking about Stage 2 when Stage 1 is not implemented properly. And every day Hamas has new demands and breaches its commitments and releases the hostages in a totally unacceptable manner. This has to be solved even before we move to discussing Stage 2.
Now, in terms of Trump's proposal to relocate Palestinians, is this something that's actually a possibility on the ground in Gaza?
The problem is like that. Unless Hamas gives up the control of Gaza, there's not going to be any real reconstruction there. And the idea that these people are going to live for 10 years in the rubbles of Gaza makes no sense. So Trump's proposal makes more sense than the alternative. And that said, the Hamas is totally against it. It's not going to allow it to be implemented. So the only way to make it possible is for Israel to take over the Gaza Strip from Hamas, or convince Hamas to leave voluntarily, which I don't believe we can. Now, so it's the meaning of the proposal is that Israel would have to take over the Gaza Strip from the hands of Hamas.
Now, moving to Iran, we've seen, of course, increasingly escalating rhetoric from a weakened Islamic regime. How much of a concern is this push for a nuclear weapon right now, and what can be done to stop it?
Well, it's very concerning because the Iranians have reached a point where they can have fissile material for building several bombs within no time at all, as a matter of fact. And so the only question mark that is still left is how long it's going to take them from the time they produce the fissile material until they have a bomb, because this takes some time. But they are working on that too, and the revelations made by the Iranian opposition recently indicate, and also the way that the American intelligence refers to this matter now, says that the Iranians are making progress in shortening the time necessary from having nuclear fissile material to the time they're going to have nuclear bombs. So we should be very concerned, and the maximum pressure is the tool that can work, especially as in the background, the credible military option that Israel proved it has is hovering over the diplomatic efforts to convince Iran to give up its capability to produce nuclear weapons. There is a chance, but the chances are small. They're not zero, but they are small, because the Iranians understand that this is their main safety net, and they want to keep it, and may even try to rush to the bomb. And that's very concerning, and we have to be ready to take military steps in order to prevent Iran from doing so. What President Trump said the other day about Iran was that I think for the first time he muttered the possibility that the United States was going to help Israel, not only accept that, not only support Israel politically, but also militarily, if I understood correctly what he was saying. And this is something that changes the landscape here, because until now it was believed that Israel will have to do it all alone.
Absolutely.
And now there is a possibility that it's going to be done differently.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, but I want to thank you for your time, Brigadier General Yossi Cooper-Wasser. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the U.S. has reportedly informed Israel that it must comply with the February 18th deadline to fully withdraw from Lebanon. Jerusalem had reportedly asked for a second extension to the original 60-day ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon. We have more from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Washington reportedly told Jerusalem that the ceasefire in Lebanon would not be extended for a second time, and no further extensions are being granted. Israel had asked for another extension, complaining that Hezbollah positions had not been fully dismantled. The ceasefire agreement, already extended, is due to expire on February 18th. Unless extended, the IDF is required to withdraw back to the international border from towns still held in South Lebanon. Trump Middle East envoy Morgan Ortagus was in Beirut as Lebanon announced the formation of the country's first government in over 2 years. Before the announcement, Ortagus made clear that the U.S. would not accept a government that included Hezbollah.
Well, I'm certainly not afraid of Hezbollah. And I'm not afraid of them because they've been defeated militarily. And we have set clear red lines from the United States that they won't be able to terrorize the Lebanese people, and that includes by being a part of the government.
And indeed, the new Lebanese president announced the acceptance of the government presented by Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. The 24-member cabinet is evenly split between Christian and Muslims. Hezbollah is no longer the political power broker. According to Lebanese officials, the goal is to make the Lebanese army the only armed force in the country. Meanwhile, in the waning days of the ceasefire agreement, the Israeli Air Force struck Hezbollah terrorist targets in the Bekaa Valley. The strikes targeted terrorists operating in a weapons manufacturing and storage sites. The army said the activity was in violation of ceasefire understandings.
The major IDF anti-terror operation Iron Wall in Judea and Samaria is underway. The IDF has been operating in the Nur al-Shams camp near Tulkarem. The army has been operating in the city for about 3 weeks with massive deployment of troops along with the Shin Bet and border police. Several gunmen were eliminated and arrests were made of terrorist suspects. The IDF is also operating in the Jenin camp, the terrorist enclave, which has about 7,000 residents, but only 1,000 remain as the IDF moves in to crush any armed terrorists. Many civilians have fled the area in order to avoid harm. The IDF remains on the offensive, entering and destroying centers of Hamas terrorist activity in the territories. The Palestinian Authority has been facing pressure from the Trump administration, and the most recent move to restructure the PA's pay-for-slay policy, in which they provide payments to imprisoned terrorists and their families, is believed to be a direct reflection of that. But not all is as it appears. Let's take a look at the latest. The Palestinian Authority has long faced criticism for their stipend payments to convicted Palestinian terrorists and their families. Operating on a sliding scale based on the length of their imprisonment, Palestinian Martyrs Fund pays these terrorists in accordance with the severity of their crime. Not only is this a reward for terrorism, but it is a direct violation of U.S. law under the Taylor Force Act, and recent lawsuits have found the Palestinian Authority liable for damages over this terror funding. With President Trump's new presidency, the Palestinian Authority is concerned that the hefty U.S. court-ordered fines of $200 to $300 million over the payment scheme following lawsuits by terror victims could cripple the Palestinian Authority. On Monday, Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas ordered the restructuring of the system, transferring responsibility from Ramallah's Social Development Ministry to the Palestinian National Institution for Economic Empowerment. The amendments do not cancel the scheme. Rather, they allow all families of terrorists to be subject to the same eligibility criteria as other families enrolled in welfare programs. The move also comes as a way to avert Israeli law that enables the deduction of payments made to terrorists from the taxes collected on behalf of the Palestinian Authority by Israel. While the pay-for-slay system is not new to the Palestinian Authority, after the October 7th massacre, the Palestinian Authority set aside $2.8 million to provide stipends to the families of Hamas terrorists who took part in the massacre. While the move is being branded as a success for Trump, it is unlikely that stipends to convicted terrorists and their families will end in any significant way under this restructuring. And moving on, the last time that we mentioned Am Yisrael Chai, we were announcing an incredible raffle and a chance to win an apartment in Jerusalem. This time, we'd like to share with our viewers the story of Am Yisrael Chai and how they support Israelis who are not receiving help otherwise. Let's take a look.
Am Yisrael Chai was founded in 2001 with one goal: to help where others are not. Since its inception, the Am Yisrael Chai Fund has been dedicated to helping and supporting the most niche facets of the State of Israel. They support agriculture, infrastructure, and most importantly, they care for the people of Israel. Over the course of some 20 years, Am Yisrael Chai has planted over 600,000 new fruit trees to support Israeli agriculture and helped with the location efforts of over 4,000 missing people. In addition, Am Yisrael Chai is the biggest donor to the Israel Dog Unit and one of the biggest donors of Torah studies in the Jordan Valley. The one and only institution teaching Talmud in the Jordan Valley was funded and aided by the Am Yisrael Chai Fund. With no red tape or bureaucracy, Am Yisrael Chai was among the first to offer help when the coronavirus pandemic shocked the world. Similar to the COVID-19 virus, the Gaza war similarly saw multiple struggling businesses. All have been aided by Am Yisrael Chai. All of the efforts of Am Yisrael Chai are meant to inspire Israelis to live, to thrive, to build, and to settle the Holy Land. Recently, Am Yisrael Chai revealed their much-anticipated dream raffle, where one lucky person gets the chance to win a luxury apartment in the heart of Jerusalem, with all proceeds going to the rebuilding efforts across Israel's affected communities. What better organization to support than one that has one mission: strengthening Israelis and supporting the growth of the Holy Land. Support today and join the raffle by scanning the QR code, and maybe you can settle in Jerusalem.
And now the Yael Foundation held their third summit in Limassol, Cyprus last week, highlighting their incredible education program. The Yael Foundation ensures that Jewish children around the world have access to quality Jewish education. And with the current rise of anti-Semitism, their mission is even more relevant today. ILTV was at the event in Cyprus. Let's hear more.
At the third annual Yael International Summit in Limassol, leaders, educators, and visionaries gathered to focus on one critical mission: strengthening Jewish education for the future. The Yael Foundation was founded with the belief that no Jewish child, no matter where they are, should have to choose between an excellent education and a rich Jewish experience. In a time when unity is more crucial than ever, the Yael Foundation brought people together to share ideas, challenges, and solutions.
It was very important for me to bring the message from Israel about unity, about the importance to stay together, because we are a very little nation. We are 18 million, I think, in all the world, and we saw how easily all the anti-Semitism is raising when we are weak, when we don't understand our identity, so our enemies can very easily attack us.
By empowering educators and building connections, we ensure Jewish identity continues to thrive, shaping a future where every Jewish child is given the tools to lead and succeed.
The research consistently surfaces how there is no greater tool to ensure Jewish continuity than Jewish education. Within the 30 different countries represented at this conference, each country presents unique challenges. And the beauty of the Yael Foundation is the tailor-made nature of the support, assisting the community in identifying the challenges, how those challenges can best be remediated, and providing ongoing partnership with the communities.
Among the many impactful voices at the summit, Major General in the Reserves Doron Almog addressed the rise of anti-Semitism, urging the need for unity to confront these growing threats.
We are after October 7 attack 2023, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered and beheaded, and more than 250 were taken hostage to Gaza. We lost more than 800 soldiers since the war started. We were attacked.
The Yael Foundation in this summit has brought together an amazing community of like-minded people, similar communities that have different challenges but also similarities. So just to sit and to discuss ideas and to share experiences has been so beneficial. And the whole feeling at the summit is that the Yael Foundation is a family. They care about you. They care about every individual school, every individual community, and that is so appreciated.
In addition to these powerful conversations, the Yael Foundation is taking concrete steps to build a brighter future, starting with a new school in Cyprus. This school will provide Jewish children in the region with an exceptional education, grounded in Jewish identity and tradition.
The Yael Foundation has made it its mission to ensure that Jewish children have access and opportunity for Jewish education. And access and opportunity means the schools have to be excellent quality so that they will be the preferred choice. If a parent is faced with the option of sending to an excellent school and a Jewish school, that's not really a choice. So we're here to make sure that the schools thrive.
The summit also featured a memorable concert by Israeli singer Yishai Ribo, whose soulful music brought the community together in celebration of Jewish culture. A surprise appearance by Minister of Diaspora Affairs Amichai Shikli reminded all attendees of the importance of strengthening Jewish education and unity on a global scale. The Yael Foundation's reach spans 37 countries with day schools, Sunday schools, and after-school programs, shaping vibrant Jewish communities worldwide. By blending tradition with innovation, we remain resilient and united, committed to reaching new heights together.
Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of around 7 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see cloudy skies and rainy showers alongside steady temperatures, seeing highs of 14 degrees Celsius or 58 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.